will surely be won by the North in the next few days. It is therefore quite a surprise that I am witness to what must be the last battle to be won by the Confederate forces in this dreadful civil war.
We're almost there. The boat's just beyond those trees. We'll take cover by that wall. Remember to wait for my signal.
Jack! On your knees! Get!
You hear what I found? In the bottom of a boat.
Take your hands off him. Oh, Herbert!
Well, this is an honor. And a pretty-looking honor at that.
Come on, move it! Go!
Captain, it's not your fault. Captain! Captain Harding!
Sleep well, Joshua.
The leader of the Union forces in this battle, are Captain Harding and his brother Lieutenant Joshua Harding, have been ambushed by a group of Confederate soldiers that have been overrun by the Yankees and left behind their lines in the most recent rout. It appears as though all the men under Captain Harding's command, with the exception of his aide-de-camp, have perished in the fighting. Indeed, I am by no means happy to find myself in the middle of all this.
You barbarians, a lot of you. Squad! Take aim! No, please! Fire!
Captain Harding has an aide-de-camp who is, of all things, a freed slave. It will, of course, be the inevitable result that the loss of this battle be the end of this fellow's life, as the Confederates continue to insist on killing all former slaves fighting under the Yankee flag.
Neb, don't. It's not worth it.
I have heard that the Confederates have captured a reconnaissance device known as a helium balloon. I will endeavor to search it out and make a rendering for my readers.
Move on.
pleasing sight. Well, these country bumpkins shouldn't be too difficult. Wait here. Oh! Two more prisoners for you.
Get out.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yes, I've always had something of a talent.
Who are you?
Gideon Spilett, war correspondent for the New York Daily Herald.
With that limey accent, you take me for a fool? You're under arrest for spying.
Don't be ridiculous.
Listen very carefully, Mr. Spilett. You've got two choices here. You can walk over to that jail now, or I can shoot you where you stand.
It's difficult to refuse when you put it that way, old man. Not quite what I had in mind. I don't suppose you could rustle us up a pot of tea. Just a thought. Chatty, isn't he? Well, I suppose introductions are in order. Gideon Spilett.
I'm Joanna Pencroft. This is my son. Well, stepson, Herbert. It's my husband, Jack.
You'd all better come and take a look at this.
Firing squad, attention!
Firing squad.
Left wheel,
Special welcome for any of us, do you think?
forward march!
We must escape immediately.
And just how do you intend to do that, Captain?
Father, they're coming.
Watch for an opening. If there isn't any, make one. And whatever happens, stay together.
Get away from the door! We'll deal with the war correspondent first.
We are prisoners of war, Captain.
He's a spy.
Not without a trial, he's not.
I don't have time for this.
Going out the front?
Pencroft, hurry.
And then you're going alone, you'll be trapped like a rat.
The wagon. No! They corner us in a minute. Well, take that. You, sir, are a madman.
I'd just as soon stay on the ground. I'll take your option, Mr. Pencroft.
He's hit. Get him into the balloon. The wagon, man. It's our only way. It's the way to see your wife and child cut to pieces. Is that what you want? The balloon!
Jack, at least it's a chance.
You ever use one of these? Cock back, down, up, fire.
Okay.
Okay?
Cut the lines!
There's only one holding, Captain. Captain!
It's nothing. Keep firing. Mr. Pencroft, save yourself!
Jack!
Cover it!
Jack, hurry! Father! Jack!
For heaven's sake, man, run! Hang on, Mr. Pencroft!
Jack, don't you dare let go!
Leave me, Joanna. I have no intentions of it. Come on, Mr. Pencroft. Stretch out your hand. Stretch! I can't.
Come on, Mr. Pencroft.
You want to die just to prove me wrong? Stretch! Got you!
Jack! Oh, Jack. You scared the very life right out of me.
Oh, I'll try not to do it again. You all right, son?
The clouds are swallowing us up.
How do you steer this contraption?
I don't think you do.
You mean we just float around until it drops out of the sky? This will not be a good way to die, Captain.
Listen. I can hear something.
I hear it too. It's up there.
There's a bullet hole.
Then it'll take us down again.
If it tears wide open, we'll plummet to the ground.
We'll have to repair it.
See if there's something in the stores.
Will this do?
Indeed it will.
Neb, you're the lightest man here. Do you think you can do it?
He's not qualified unless he's just climbing around in the rigging.
Jack, be careful. Herbert? You all right?
Yeah, I think so. We're on top of the clouds.
How's your head, Mr. Spillett?
A war wound? I'd made up my mind to avoid getting one of those.
It's just a graze.
Nah, not even a scar for my pain. You disappoint me, Mrs. Pencroft. Tell me, are we aloft?
Indeed we are, Mr. Spillett. So high we're above the clouds.
Oh dear. I really have an uncommon dislike of heights. Captain Hart, we need some leadership here. What are we going to do?
Let some gas out of the balloon.
You're going to gamble all our lives
Well,
on the...
what do you suggest, Mr. Spillett? That we just float around up here until we starve to death or die of thirst?
If we're gonna try it, we must be quick.
All right. Get this wretched contraption down.
Oh, this is attached to a valve. Want to try it?
Do it.
We're going down.
It's jammed. The valve must be stuck. Try and jar it loose.
I think it moved.
Gently, Mr. Pencroft. Careful, careful, Mr. Pencroft. Gently, I think it's... Ah!
There's no way of going down now.
Perhaps if we put a hole in the balloon.
We'd never be able to control our descent. We'd crash for sure.
My darling, we continue to drift at an alarming rate, while the storm rages on below us. Mr. Pencroft insists that against all reason the storm is blowing us west. How far, I cannot guess, but I fear we cannot survive the descent. Breakfast, courtesy of the aeronaut from whom we borrowed this vehicle. I cannot eat. I feel as though I am trapped in some bizarre nightmare. Night, the third day, and there is no more food. There is still no break in the clouds below us. We are at the mercy of the winds. Though most of us haven't slept for the past 24 hours, no one dares to sleep. The words have not been spoken, but we all know that to close one's eyes now means to never open them again. I wish I could have seen you one more time, my darling.
Father! Father, wake up, I see something! There's a hole in the clouds.
We're over water.
Is it a lake?
That's no lake.
Jolly wide river, then.
That's the ocean, Mr. Spilett.
Then it must be the Pacific Ocean.
But that's impossible. Well, that would mean
We've been blown right across America.
But if we're over the sea, where will we land?
You fool! I wanted to take the wagon, but you had to encourage my wife and child to get into this thing.
Perhaps I was wrong.
That's all you have to say? You condemned us to die!
We wouldn't have had a chance in the wagon.
What chance do we have now, Captain? If we fall out of the sky and end up in the ocean, believe me, Harding, you will be the first to go!
Stop it, Jack! You're behaving like a madman!
I'm sorry, Captain. Forgive me.
It appears that we have some travelers nearby. Might be interesting to have them visit for a while. There are one or two things I might want them to do, especially as my most recent experiment is coming to an end.
Land! I saw land!
I don't see anything.
I saw it, Captain! Through a hole in the clouds!
Hallucinations.
No,
Are you sure, Neb?
Bound happens sometime.
I saw it.
I believe you. Where?
Straight ahead of us.
There can't be land out there for thousands of miles.
How do we know? We fly so fast. And if we crossed America, why can we not have crossed the ocean?
The clouds are still as thick as ever. He's imagining it.
What's happening?
The balloon is ripped open again.
We're dropping like a rock!
We're gonna crash and drown!
Well, not unless I'm hallucinating as well!
I see it!
We've flown all the way over the ocean.
We're gonna come down about 3 miles short of the coast.
You're right, Mr. Pencroft, but if we lighten the load, we'll stay up a little bit longer. Everything over the side!
Even the guns, Captain! We may need them!
They'll be no use to us if we're drowning, Neb. Over the side!
We're still fairly plummeting down!
Everyone up into the rigging!
Up there?
If we climb up into the rigging, we can let the basket go. It's all we've got left.
It just might work.
I don't think this is a serious possibility, Captain.
You can either climb or swim, Mr. Spilett. It's your choice.
Well, if you put it that way.
Now let the basket go!
It's not enough!
Pity. I was looking forward to a spot of tea.
You may still get to drink it, Mr. Spilett. Take care of yourself, Neb. Good luck.
Captain? Captain? No!
It's a brave sacrifice, Neb. Follow him and you'll make it worthless.
Everyone, on the outside of the rigging! Now! Go! Hold on! We're coming down! Get your feet in, son! Hang on, we're almost there! Get in! Hang on, son. Hang on, we're gonna hit. Watch the rocks. Joanna!
Father! Over here!
Jack, hurry!
Pull Herbert. He's not breathing. He needs air, so how do we give him air? Turn him over. Nothing. Put him inside quickly. Oh, please, Mr. Spilett. I saw a doctor do it once.
You packed quite a wallop, girl.
I do seem to be spending a lot of time unconscious recently. I'm obliged to you, madam.
You're welcome, Mr. Spilett.
Death would have been something of an inconvenience. Now that we're safely in China.
China?
Where else?
I'm sure we were blowing south as well as west.
What happened to the black fellow?
Captain Harding! Captain Harding!
Elizabeth! Tell our dear girls how much I love them.
Captain Harding!
Neb, give it up, lad. He's gone.
No!
He was miles out there. You think you can swim that far?
That's what you'd like, isn't it? For him to have drowned out in the ocean! Well, you're wrong! He's alive!
I feel a frightful wet sitting here while you work.
You start prancing around, Mr. Spillett. I'll have another nursing crisis on my hands. You're suffering from shock. It'll be dark soon. Wish we'd had time to find a town.
I can't abide mussels.
I could eat them. Shells and all.
Must have been a seal.
Gideon, you should be resting.
I'm fine. Thank you.
We found us some supper.
All right. How do we cook them?
We don't, unless you happen to bring some matches.
It's going to rain. Where's Neb?
Ah, he's a stubborn young fool. Harding's dead.
And so begins our first night in this strange new land. And though we all do our best to put on brave faces, the unanswered question can be seen in every eye. Have we fallen from the sky into a Garden of Eden? Or is this unearthly vista nothing less than the gateway to hell?
Captain Harding! Captain Harding!
What is it, Herbert?
Captain Harding! Captain Harding!
You still think he's alive?
Look, if the captain had drowned, his body would have washed up on shore by now.
Well, maybe. Unless there are sharks.
Look, I know he's still alive.
You want me to help you look? Okay. Oh, but we have to find water first.
I found water.
spend another night out in the open. There has to be a settlement nearby.
I speak passable French and German. 3 languages have to be better than 1.
You're not going anywhere, Mr. Spilett. You've been knocked unconscious, half drowned. You'd collapse within an hour.
We need to send someone for help, and we need to rebuild the shelter in case help doesn't come before dark.
We really must find some real food.
We could catch some fish if we had a line.
I can braid us a fishing line out of this sewing thread and make a hook out of the needle, but right now it is more important to send someone for help.
I'm not sure raw fish is a vast improvement on raw mussels.
Neb and I will go.
All right, but you'll be back before dark, you hear?
And if you find a hotel, try to get me a room with a bath.
Neb, if the people are Chinese, how are we gonna talk to them?
Might be a good while before we find out.
Why?
Well, did you see any towns or houses or anything when we were coming down?
You think this part of the coast is deserted?
Well, could be.
So we're like castaways. Exciting.
Yeah, it won't be for long.
Herbert's been very brave.
Oh, it's just a big adventure to the boy.
He was afraid. And so was I.
In truth, we all were. We're safe enough now.
You still think you're going to find him?
Yes, I do.
You think he'll be alive?
No. But I want to give him a decent burial.
Why do you like him so much?
Do you have a family?
He spoke of a wife and daughters. I'll write to them when we get home. Tell him how nobly he died.
Hey, that'd be a good thing to do. Maybe I'll say the burial at sea for him tonight.
I think Neb would like that. So would I.
I don't think I could bear to lose you.
I'm not going anywhere.
Herbert, you move with the grace of a deer.
Just give me a hand, will you? I'm stuck.
Your foot's caught in the rock. Can you get it out of the boot?
No. What are we gonna do?
Look, the tide's coming in. I've got to find something to pry the rocks apart. Are you okay?
Just great.
Okay, won't be long.
Neb, please!
I hear you, Herbert.
I need your help!
I hear you.
Neb, hurry! Please!
It's perfect. You notice this? It's burnt.
Where did you get it?
In there.
That's smoke.
Herbert. There is someone here. And they've only just arrived because there wasn't any fire here before.